now listening to Protecting Your Nest with board-certified family medicine and obesity medicine specialist Dr. Tony Hampton. For more, visit drtonyhampton.com. Welcome to the Protecting Your Nest podcast. As a doctor who sees many patients who suffer from so-called chronic medical conditions or who are struggling to achieve their desired weight, I've learned the value that comes from hearing directly from people who are on a similar journey. This provides a very helpful perspective because it's coming from someone going through the many challenges of change you may be facing as well, serving as a stronger source of inspiration coming from someone who actually may get what you're going through. But rarely are we able to hear from someone who's making lifestyle changes in the beginning of their journey. So today you will meet a guest who I think will provide exactly what we all need so we can better understand the ups and downs of lifestyle changes as we walk with him on his journey to metabolic health. Today's guest is Russ Mitchell, better known as Russ of the Homesick Buckeye YouTube channel. And yes, this Buckeye was born in Cincinnati, Ohio, hence the name, but now resides in Jacksonville, Florida. I met Russ at the Keto Orlando Summit, and from the moment I met him, he filled my spirit with laughter and inspiration. Russ has decided to share his journey of healing via YouTube using his channel, Homesick Buckeye, and that's why I wanted to bring him for you to meet him, because he's exactly what you need if you're looking to take this journey with laughter, maybe even with tears, but most importantly, inspiration, because Russ is crazy and he likes to bring his craziness to his channel. So with that, my friend, Russ, I welcome you to the Protecting Your Nest podcast.
Glad to be here, Doc. Glad to be here, brother.
Man,
chop it up. Let's chop up some game.
Let's start talking that stuff. And that's one thing. So for all those who are checking this out, if you're doing the podcast audio only, go to YouTube and find Homesick Buckeye. Subscribe to his channel. If you're watching this on my channel, check out his YouTube channel. We're going to hopefully do a live stream as well. So if you go to the channels, you'll probably not only see the podcast, but you'll see a live stream we did where we chopped it up and answered some questions from the audience. So let's get started, my friend. Homesick Buckeye. When I first saw that title, I said, what is he talking about? And then I was fortunate to hear one of your episodes, maybe even the first one, where you kind of introduced your channel. And so talk a little bit about where that name came from and what that's all about.
Yes, I moved to Jacksonville, Florida in 2005 from Ohio, where I lived the majority of my life, born and lived in Cincinnati and in central Ohio. And just some life circumstances brought me down here to Jacksonville. And I don't care how long I live here, I will always be from Ohio. So I'm a Buckeye born, Buckeye bred. When I die, I'll be Buckeye dead. And, that's what it is. So, yeah, I miss home, everything about home, friends, family, just the things and love, So it's, it's cool. I'm a happy guy. I'm happy anywhere. But there's no place like home. I think that's a song, right?
Yeah, it's something. I know Wizard of Oz or something, but I know maybe Dorothy will show up later in the recording.
Back home, the family's around you, you're never alone. That's going back now. Let's go. Hey, but I'm old, so going back is not a problem.
That is definitely a sitcom. You took it to a whole nother level, so I appreciate it. Yeah. So let me ask you this. I know I was just there, like I said, at Keto Orlando. It was like 90 plus. Was that hard to adjust to, that warm weather?
Yeah, I mean, it's down here in the summertime. It's terrible. It's miserable. It's pretty good in the wintertime. The winters are wonderful. Down here from around Halloween till Easter, it's pretty good. But the rest of it is miserable, man. You break out sweating thinking about going outside, man. You touch the doorknob, you start sweating. So, yeah, it's crazy.
Now you mentioned in a previous recording I saw you on that you were a big horse racing guy. Where did that come from?
Yeah, I grew up in a harness racing town. When you talk horse racing, people think about Kentucky Derby and that, but I race standardbreds. They pace, they trot. Um, and I grew up in Central Ohio. Harness racing's big in Ohio, and I grew up in a harness racing town. And so I kind of got the bug early, and then got into the racing business in the '90s. And it's a passion of mine. I enjoy it, and yeah, I've been doing it for a while.
Good. Now, during our visit in Orlando, you shared that your weight was, over 500 pounds. And, the
Yeah.
question is, has weight been a big factor, a big issue for you most of your life?
Oh yeah, yeah. I did on my channel. I have a series called My Overweight Life, and I talk about my entire life. I thought it was important to, share, the foundation, share my struggles, and just try to I don't know, identify with people and let people know they're not alone, in their struggles and that. But yeah, my weight problem started when I was probably 7 or 8 years old. I was always the chubby kid, the fat kid, the big guy, all that kind of stuff growing up. So, yeah, it definitely started early. Just
Did
learning
you?
all the wrong things, the wrong habits.
Yeah.
Come on, you're talking 50 years ago.
Mm.
People don't understand metabolic health now.
Even now.
Imagine, 50 years ago, we just didn't know the things we know now. And so you grow up eating the wrong foods and having the wrong, relationships with food and that kind of stuff. And it just spirals out of control for some people.
Yeah, and I don't want to take that for granted. And I think when we hear the term metabolic syndrome, it's all about your blood pressure, your blood sugar, your waist, your belly fat, your triglycerides, and HDL. And if you have three out of five of those abnormal, that's considered poor metabolic health. How do you treat that? You treat it with uh, not having inflammation, not having foods in your diet that can inflame you and increase insulin, because too much insulin, they call it hyperinsulinemia, can then lead to metabolic syndrome, which then leads to high blood pressure, high cholesterol or abnormal lipids, uh, diabetes, increased risk for cancer, increased risk for stroke, dementia. All of these things are the same disease, which is why we focus on that. And I really appreciate you socializing that term, because if people don't understand what that is, they won't understand how to heal. So let's go
I had,
back.
I had six
Yeah.
out of five. I had 6 out of the 5.
What's your?
I had them five, and I'm sure I had something else, Doc. So yeah,
Yeah.
I had six of them.
That's all good. Well, hey, you won't have six for long. I can tell you that.
Yeah,
Now
but
let's talk. Let's
we,
talk a little bit about. I'm going to be literally the day I release the audio version of this podcast will be the day before I present at the Symposium for Metabolic Health, and my topics is going to be talking about how vegans and carnivores can live in harmony. Um, and when I talked to you in Orlando, you shared that you had been a 7-day Adventist, and of course, they advocate for more of a plant-based dietary pattern. Um, why did you either do that diet or then transfer to the animal-based diet? What was your transition? Because I know you kind of started plant-based and then you transitioned. What was the reason
No,
for
no,
that?
no. My family was Seventh Day Adventist. I never actually joined the church. I grew up in the Seventh Day Adventist church. I went to Seventh Day Adventist boarding school. I went to Seventh Day Adventist college. My parents were Seventh Day Adventists and came up that way. And the church does preach that message. A lot, it's kind of overblown, frankly. Only about
Mm-hmm.
35% of Adventists are actually vegetarians, uh,
Mm.
but the church does teach it, does advocate for it. When the church, has events like potlucks and things like that, they're vegetarian, but again, it's not something you have to be in the church. Most, in fact, are not. But yeah, growing up that way, you learn about nutrition and stuff like that, from a certain perspective. It's always in the back of your mind. It's how you grew up. And, my dad, was off and on vegetarian throughout his life and juiced and stuff like that his whole life. And he's in good health. Um, but I never embraced that life. I did when I started trying to lose weight over the last probably 7 years or so. I did do that, because I thought that would was the answer.
Hmm.
And those teachings and those things that I learned, but it's not just Seventh Day Adventists. I don't want to pick on them. I got a lot of love for them, but the nutrition message that people are taught is you got to have your fruits, you got to have your vegetables, you got to have your grains. I mean, that's across the board, whether it's the government or whether it's churches, the doctors, the medical establishment. I mean, that's the common theme with them, even. But you know, in terms of the Seventh Day Adventists, yes, I was influenced by that, and that was part of the reason why, you know, I did the things that I did, and I thought that those things were actually the reason why I didn't have any other health problems other than being heavy, because I didn't. I've never been on
Hmm.
any medication in my life other than penicillin. You know, didn't have any other health problems that I knew of, um, and um, yeah. So that's
I think, well, let me thank you, first of all. As you know, I incorporated our conversation into my presentation
sure.
in Orlando. And when I prepared my presentation, I talked about the blue zones, which are being marketed as a plant based ideology.
Yeah,
And when I did my research, I looked for studies and I didn't see the studies that called out the Seventh Day Adventist as not being completely plant based. But it was our conversation, and then after we had our conversation, I started doing research. So I didn't find a study, but I found the data, and it was even less than I thought. In terms of vegan, it was like 15%.
yeah, yes,
And then they went from vegan to those who also eat eggs and dairy, and what you so in other words, less than 20% are true vegans in that
yeah.
culture, which is shocking.
I mean, they serve meat in the Adventist hospitals, you know.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, you're going to serve it in the hospital, you know, but not pork. Now they don't serve pork.
Okay.
They serve beef and turkey, I think, maybe some chicken. I'm not sure,
Hmm.
but yeah. So it's you know, it's not exactly the way sometimes it's presented. But don't get me wrong, the church does advocate that, and there
Oh
is
yeah.
a certain population that is, you know, very vehement. And
Yeah.
you know, as far as us, you know, cohabitating with the vegans, it can't happen. We got to kill them all.
Oh, let's get out of here.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. You know, I'm
But
crazy, Doc. You know, I'm crazy.
you are crazy. But let me tell you why I think this is important. When they do research on populations that they say, have those people that live to 100,
Yeah,
centenarians, they always say, well, these are plant-based places. Well, that's just not true.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
yeah, they advocate for that, but the reality, so you can't then say that dietary pattern is the key to longevity. More importantly, the fruits, veggies, and grains that you quoted are all non-essential nutrients. So not that you shouldn't eat them, but they're not essential for life. So I think that that's also important that people hear that, so they'll understand that
I
little
think,
nuance.
and I think talking about the blue zones quickly, but I think Okinawa is one of them, and there's
Hmm.
no vegans or vegetarians in Okinawa. I don't.
Yeah, to be honest with you, in my presentation, I will talk about the fact the Blue Zones by Dan Buettner is all it's not really real. And my wife is so clever; she came up with a little way to remember the Blue Zones, and it was I think it was oh no, Lord, I've sinned. Oh no, Lord, and all the letters to that reflect the blue zones. And I really, my wife, man, she's always doing the work of making sure I'm kind of prepared to do things. And but
Yeah,
she came up with that little mnemonic. So just when you look up the blue zones, think about the first letters of that little phrase, and you'll get a chance to see all of them. Now,
I would,
let's.
I would, I would venture to say that, you know, I mean, I don't, just guessing. You could certainly know more about this than I do, but the main thing is the refined sugars, the junk food, fast food, processed foods. You know, regardless of whether vegetarian, vegan,
Hmm.
or whatever, if you stay away from those things,
Hmm.
I think, you know, I mean, that's where it's at. I mean, it's harder, I think, to live a ketogenic life as a vegetarian, but it's not
Hmm. You
impossible.
can do it. The
Yeah,
book.
if
I recommend this book called Vegetarian Reset. It's a low carb vegetarian book. So it's harder, but it can be done.
yeah,
Yeah. So I appreciate that. But the O in the O is Okinawa, Japan. The N, oh no, is Nicoya, Costa Rica. The L um, is Loma Linda, of course, California, where the Seventh Day Adventists hang out. The I is Ikakria, Greece, and then the Send is Sardinia, Italy. I probably didn't spell the Greece one properly, but that's it. So anyway, that's what we use that for is elevator conversation. So when you're trying
right,
to remember, because just like you try to think about it, it's like you have to have a way. This is how you get through medical school, man. You have to
right,
have
right.
acronyms and mnemonics. But anyway, I'll just save that for the audience to check that out. Now ultimately you landed where you are now, which is more in a keto space, pretty much ketovore, because you're not eating a lot of carbs, from what I can understand. So, talk to me why keto.
Well, I mean, it's just I'd heard about Atkins, back in the 2000s, and I had done that just limited, but I thought it was a fad. I just thought it was something that you were trading, your long term health for some short term weight loss, and that it would eventually kill you because again, you got to have your fruits, vegetables, grains, nuts, seeds. I mean, you need that stuff, man. That's
Mm-hmm.
that's what's going to keep you alive. And lean meats and all, just again 180 degrees from where we're at now. But um, you know, I really was at the wit's end. As I talk about on my site, I tried everything. I was starving myself. I was vegan. I was, or vegetarian. I never really got to vegan.
Mm-hmm.
But and I was just struggling, and I was hungry all the time, and I wasn't losing any weight. I was just going nowhere, and so I actually got to a point where I said, you know what, I've got nothing else to lose. I'm going to die anyway, so I might as well try this Atkins, and that's what I
Mm-hmm.
knew it as at the time. I didn't, call it ketogenic. It was the Atkins diet because that's just all I'd ever known. And so I went online, really to find out what I could expect in terms of bad news. That's really the reason I went online. I'm like, how bad does it get? What can I expect? And in looking, I really didn't find anything out of the ordinary or find
Mm-hmm.
anything that I didn't already know. So I said, what the heck? And
Mm-hmm.
so um, but in my research, I came across Barry and Bickman and folks that really changed my view and changed. I mean, they changed my life, probably saved my life. The way they explain things and scientifically on the Bickman side and medically on the Barry side.
Mm-hmm.
And then Kelly Hogan was important as well because she had a lot of people on her channel that were older that were doing it, 50s,
Mm-hmm.
60s, and had been doing it a while. And she'd been doing it herself for like 13 years. And
Mm-hmm.
that was a big thing to me because the longevity, I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
show me somebody that's been doing this for 15, 20, 30 years and has no health problems. That's what I
That's
want.
right. That's right.
So when I was able to see that, and then, like I said, Bickman broke down ketosis in a way that I just had never heard it.
Mm-hmm.
And that basically wiped my fears out. And then I said, "Hey, this is my ticket out of here.
Mm-hmm.
This is my ticket out of this jail." Um, and you know, I went about a plan to get myself to ketosis because I knew that was it. If I get to ketosis, man, I'm
Mm-hmm.
home free.
That's it. And I appreciate Dr. Barry. As you know, he's very raw and
Yeah,
straightforward. And I think that's why it resonates with people. I
yeah,
appreciate Bickman because he's a metabolic researcher. So he'll make me and Barry look like we don't know what we're talking about. He understands it. I mean, this is his life. He
yeah.
understands. So when you got a guy at that level, I think he wrote a book, Why We Get Sick or something
Yep.
like that. Yep.
Clear book, listen to it. It's amazing the research
Yeah.
and things that
That's
they're finding out, and everybody has their lane. I said I didn't come across you till later, but the doctors, you know, play a big role
Mhm.
because, and that's I view myself as a ketogenic evangelist. I mean,
Mhm.
that's basically what I am. I don't expect anybody to listen to me. I just do silly things on the internet and share my life with people. But I'd say it all the time. I look like the before and after picture. So I don't expect anybody to listen to me, but I share the changes that I've made, what it's done for my life, and I try to shine the light on folks like you and Bickman and Barry and Chafee, the people that I follow, and point them in that direction. Say, hey,
Mhm.
now that I've got your attention with this goofy song or these jokes,
Right.
now look, talk to these guys. They're the ones that can really show you the way, and get you on the right track.
Well, I have something to say to you, and you should apologize because I started keto so my stomach wouldn't hurt, right? Because I had irritable bowel, and then I meet you, and you got my stomach hurting because you're cracking all these crazy ass jokes.
Yeah, stomachs and kidneys, but I try to I try to get them. I'm trying to get them kidneys too, brother. I'm trying to get them.
Well, you did. And that's why I want everybody to subscribe to Homesick Buckeye because he will make you laugh as he shares his journey. And if you can laugh instead of cry as you kind of walk with him and others, I think that's the way to go. So, what about your family? Are they, how supportive are they on this journey for you?
Very, very supportive. I mean, one of the things, again, I have to talk about it quick because I get emotional when I talk about it. But again, if in my series, if you look at my series, one of the biggest impacts of my life was when my sister cried for
Mm,
me and
mm,
told me about how it hurt her so bad that I couldn't do things with the family and things like
mm,
that.
mm,
That just tore me up.
mm.
And we got to move on because if I
Yeah, we'll move on.
don't,
I did hear that
ugly Dr.
testimonial.
Phil, you don't want that. The people don't want to see that, and I don't want to
That's
see
right.
it.
Well,
So,
when I in my intro, I said laugh, cry, and inspire. So maybe we need to go
yeah,
there, but
yeah,
I
we ain't doing
appreciate
none of that
that.
crying here today. We ain't.
Okay, that's fair. Well, let me ask you this, and maybe you can say this without getting too emotional. Um, Answer this question: what is it like? See, I'm 170. I don't know what it's like to be in a 500-pound body. So share at least a couple of things around your journey that a person who's thinner wouldn't understand.
Uh, um, just basically being comfortable maybe in all
Mhm.
environments. So like, when you go into a place to eat or whatever, you don't have to be worried about whether you'll fit in a chair or if you're out at somebody's picnic, you're not worried about if you're going to break their chair or things like that. Just tight spots, when you go to restaurants, things like that. Maybe, you don't fit in the booths, you want a table, just stuff like that. I really didn't think that much about it, to be
Mhm.
honest with you. I've always been big. I've always been heavy. So it's not something that came to me later in life. I've always been a heavy guy. I've always had, kind of those challenges, Um, I mean, I was athletic and stuff. I played sports as a kid, stuff like that. But, but yeah, I haven't given that a lot of thought. I
Mhm.
didn't really feel that different. Yeah, I mean, you get tired if other people are walking and stuff like that. Maybe you get, tired quicker.
Mhm.
But the bigger thing when you get to like 500 pounds is being comfortable.
Mhm.
And again, for a guy like, see, I'm not really a big, I get that from my mother. I'm somewhat of a recluse. I'm a guy, I don't have a wide variety of interests. I just like kind of a few things. I have no desire for adventure, to go travel the world and all that stuff. And that's for even when I was a younger man. When I was young and I
Mhm.
wasn't always 500 pounds. Even as a kid, I didn't ride roller coasters. When I could fit on them, I didn't ride on them.
Mhm.
I just wasn't. I didn't like that kind of stuff, adventurous
Mhm.
stuff like that. So, but definitely, when you get to a certain weight, those things get harder and harder. If I wanted to ride roller coasters, I couldn't fit on them. If I wanted to
Mhm.
bungee jump or hang glide or something, I probably would exceed the weight limit. Things like
Right.
that.
That's
So
right.
I would call it more comfort. Maybe like somebody maybe with a disability. Maybe if you were in a wheelchair,
Mhm.
or something like that, you'd kind of have to give the same considerations. Hey, am I going to be able? Is there a lot of stairs? Am
Mhm.
I going to have to walk really far? Things like that. I would say, as you get to a certain weight, become, um, you know, more important to you.
It's I was watching I watch I don't know if you watch the Vox YouTube channel. It's VOX, but Vox, they're kind of known. They got about 11 million subscribers. They kind of explain things. They explain the news. Like if you like, they had a video back in the day that talked about why is Russia and Ukraine at war, and they'll explain it. What's up with the Israeli Palestinian, and they'll kind of explain things. And they recently had a video talking about the airplanes and the seats. And what they said in the video is the leg room, not even the seats, but the leg room is tight now. And it wasn't like that in the beginning. Like back
Yeah.
in the day, man, you can get on a plane and be comfortable. And but what it reminds me of as we talk is this idea of what we become accustomed to, right? So in our brain, this is just normal, but it's really not normal. I mean, not having leg room was not a thing back in the day, and things
Well,
just evolved.
those airplanes, listen, I don't know what kind of anorexic plane design. Them things have been terrible since, like I said, when I was 250 pounds, they was terrible. I'm like,
Right.
do they not understand America? We are fat people.
I don't
We
get
are
it.
a fat country.
Yeah.
This is the land of the free and the home of the Whopper. Okay, and I don't know, I don't know who designed them airplane seats, but I mean, I don't care. I don't know who it was, but they've always been that way. And maybe they're worse now, but 30 years ago they were bad.
Yeah, it's crazy, and it is what it is. But again, we don't want we become what we normalize to become normal, because we want to be comfortable. Like I don't think about size as much as I think about being healthy, being comfortable, being able to do the basic things like play on the floor with your
Yeah,
grandkids or whatever. That's what I want, and if I can achieve
sure.
that, that's what it's all about. Now you took, taking a leap to start a YouTube channel. I kind of started my um like you mentioned that you just found me later. I didn't really find this YouTube podcast stuff until the pandemic occurred, and it's very difficult when you're a doctor who's also a leader in a large conventional health system that doesn't even think like this to kind of find time to do this work. But it's so important I do it. But I'm curious what really was your inspiration to say I'm going to go ahead and do this YouTube channel.
Well, I really didn't want to do a YouTube channel, to be perfectly honest with you. I thought maybe somewhere way down the road when I'd accomplished more. Um, and I talked with someone that inspired me to do the channel. Um, but I just wanted to come on and just get these jokes off and my
Mm-hmm.
silly songs and be silly and funny because I'd watched a lot of live streams and most of them were boring.
Yeah.
And it was just it give you a headache to watch a lot of them. So I was like, I just want to come on and act a fool. That's
Mm-hmm.
really what I'm born to do. So I didn't want a YouTube channel. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't want to tell my story. I mean, I had a story, but I didn't think it was worth telling.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly not at that point. I just wanted to come on and cut up
Mm-hmm.
and make people laugh and smile. But nobody would put me on. Nobody wanted to talk to me. There's people, like I
So
said,
you reached out to people and they wouldn't put you on.
absolutely. The person that inspired me to
Wow.
do the channel ghosted me. I mean, it's just like,
Wow.
so it's just like, and I don't know the exact reason because they've never said it, but I suspect, and from other people I've
Mm-hmm.
talked to, they've said you weren't sensational enough. Everybody wants to talk to the amazing story. Everybody wants
Mm-hmm.
to see the train wreck.
Mm.
Everybody wants to see the bearded lady or the that kind of stuff. You're just a fat guy that started on a diet. That's
Mm.
nothing. What's amazing about that? What's special about it? Bring us the guy that lost 300 pounds in 2 weeks. That's what
Mm.
we want to see because everybody's chasing clicks, everybody's chasing, subscribers and that. And so, in order to get attention, you got to have something fantastic. You got to make something to make people say, "Wow!" And you're not that.
Mm.
Um, so I'm like,
We'll
okay,
talk about what you can offer as a guy who's just getting started to the audience who is going to see you and you haven't lost 100 pounds already?
Well, I do think it's important to see all levels of progress. Everybody can reach somebody. The guy that's lost, 300 pounds, that's amazing. I mean, I can't even really fathom that. He has a voice. There's people he can reach.
Mm-hmm.
But for somebody like me, say, who sees that, you're like, well, that's the impossible dream.
Mm.
I could never do that. But when you see somebody that looks like you, that's saying, look at what's happened to me. Look what
Mm-hmm.
it hits different. When a
Mm.
180-pound guy is telling you what you should do and what you can do, and you're 500 pounds, it hits different than a 500-pound guy looking at you telling you, hey, this is what you can do and this is how you.
Mm.
It just hits different. And then, I'm me. Ain't nobody like me, thank goodness. So I gotta tell my story my way. And again, my thing is mostly entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
I'm heavy on the entertainment, lighter on the science and all
Mm-hmm.
that kind of stuff. It's a big tent.
Mm-hmm.
I'm everything: carnivore, ketovore, heretofore, metaphor, 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't care. I don't care if you've lost 1 pound. I don't care if you never lost any pounds. Again, I'm a ketogenic living evangelist.
Mm.
And if you're interested in ketogenic life, because I got news for the carnivores, they're keto too.
Mm-hmm.
They're not their own special group. If you are, minimizing your carbohydrates and maximizing your proteins and fats, you're ketogenic.
Mm.
That's just all there is to it. And if you feel like you want to segment yourself off, that's fine. That's a human thing, I think, to want to just, you know, rank yourself or rate yourself or call yourself something, belong to a group or a tribe or a gang or whatever. I think that's human nature, and that's fine. The pecking orders and all that, whatever. That's not really what I care to do. Um, I don't like the labels at all, but I understand the need for them. I think we should start something new. I've talked about it here and there. The carb number. Everything
Mm-hmm.
else has a number. Your glucose, your fasting insulin, your blood pressure, all that kind of stuff, all numbers. What's your carb number?
Mm-hmm.
Meaning, how many carbs do you eat normally on a routine, regular day? My number's 15.
Mm.
That's an average normal day for me, 15 or less.
Mm-hmm.
Number might be 12. Your number might be 60. Somebody else's might be 3. But, to me, I'm a carnivore. I'm a ketovore. I'm a dirty this and a dirty that.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it doesn't offend me, but being somebody that's kind of new to the space, and kind of on a different track, I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
To me, I just want people to be aware of what they're doing. That's the start of it. I don't. People come to now that I've been out doing this a while. People come to me and say, man, I ate 420 carbs yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, yeah, that's evangelism.
Yeah,
I
I
got
like.
you to know just knowing how many carbs you eat in a day. That's a start.
That's huge.
That's a start. And I don't care if it's 400, 600, 1,000. The fact that you know it today and you didn't know
Mm.
it yesterday, I
Mm.
win.
Wow, and that's
And
so
you know
huge.
what I tell them, Doc? I say 420. Okay. How about tomorrow we do 419?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because see, I tell you, man, the guy still got a donut in his hand and you're trying to tell him about ketosis and
I
linoleic
know.
acid and seed oils and all this and that. How about getting them aware of what their carb number is and working to get it lower?
Mm.
Well, that's where I'm at. That's the space I'm in. And I got love for everybody. Like I said, I'm on every team.
Mm-hmm.
I was carnivore yesterday. I might be keto tomorrow. I might eat a
Mm-hmm.
burrito the next day. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
but hey, look, on the way home from the summit, I stopped at Taco Bell and had a burrito and a sweet tea.
Go on and say it.
So, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. I hadn't eaten that day. It was,
That's
caught me at a
right.
weak moment, Doc. And, I didn't have to get the sweet tea, but I did.
Yep.
Don't judge me. But guess what? Next day, right back on the program
Right.
because again, it's my life. That burrito and the sweet tea, that's my old life. That's a flash from the past. My new life is nothing like that. But I'm rambling on there. Go ahead. Go.
Well, you're saying great stuff because you're saying, when you struggle or when you have your moment, give yourself a little grace, and then, as you
Yeah,
well know, get back on the horse. You're a horse guy. Get back
yeah.
on the horse and do your thing. And I think that that's really important. And I just think that this idea of counting carbs is I mean, if there's one thing I want people to walk away from during this episode of the podcast, is you have to create awareness of what you're putting in the body. So just count carbs, and before you even make a change, just to see what your current state is, and when you're trying to solve a problem, you have to start with, what's my current state? What is the problem I'm trying to solve? And then once you get real good with this carb thing, and then you understand, if you divide that number by 4, it estimates the teaspoons of sugar. That should create, like, so that 400 carb day is 100 teaspoons of sugar. And it's no way you're going to be metabolically healthy if you do that. So I think that awareness, and then you can say, let's ease down from there. So I appreciate that. Now, um, your advice to someone who's getting started would probably start with counting carbs. What other advice would you give somebody that's just like you, just ready to get started? What would you say to them to kind of give them a little advice or inspiration?
Focus on, first of all, I talk a lot about the psychology of these things. First thing you have to do, in my opinion, is know who you are, how your mind works, and then by knowing that and understanding that, then you know what you can do and then what you can sustain. I think it's more important to do something that you can sustain for a long period of time than to just go out willy nilly and just do something, and then a week later you're back not doing it. And
Mm-hmm.
that's where the yo-yoing comes from, and that's where the people that struggle and have the stops and starts, that's how that works. Because you go in, you don't, you know, you need to begin with the end in mind.
Mm-hmm.
I would encourage people that if you just want to go on a diet, I don't know what to tell you. Look at changing your life. That's what I did. That's all I know how to do and how to talk about, is changing your life. I'm not on a diet. I'm not in some temporary short term program. I began with the end in mind. I wanted to put together a plan, something that I could do for the rest of my life. And
Cool.
so that's what I would advise people to do. If you're just, because again, as a ketogenic evangelist, we get pigeonholed in the keto world for just being about weight loss. But ketogenic living is about total health. You mentioned it
Mm-hmm.
earlier: dementia and mental health and infertility and high blood pressure and diabetes. Man, there are
Mm-hmm.
so many things that ketogenic living is helping people with. I've got plenty of friends that are not overweight, certainly to any real degree, that are on blood pressure medications or on cholesterol
Mm-hmm.
medications or on type 2 diabetics and things of that.
Mm-hmm.
Ketogenic living, we believe, can help them. Um, so it's not about losing weight, because that's the first thing. Oh, ketogen. Oh, well, I'm not fat, or I don't have any weight to lose. I'm not overweight. Okay, well, but there's so many other things that ketogenic living can do for you. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, people talk about brain fog and all the types of things
Mm-hmm.
like that. So it's important, for me anyway, in my evangelism, to tout all the benefits of ketogenic living and not just focused on it as a diet or a weight loss program, because unfortunately that's what most people think it is.
Mm-hmm. And it's not. Again, my reason for doing uh, a animal based diet was to save my belly, to not have irritable bowel. It was also to be a better doctor by having mental clarity and not having that mental fog that you spoke of. So I 100% agree. Many people, though, struggle because food is such a part of our culture. So some people literally think about food all day. I don't, but I also eat in a way that I don't get hungry that much. So how do you view food now? Has it changed since you started this approach?
Yeah, listen, I did a song parody on, we do a show called The Cookout Weekly. I did a song parody. Somebody talked about being hungry and having hunger pain, hunger, issues. And I said, because every time I close my eyes, I think of food. And no matter what the season is, I still love food with all my heart. And I want to be with food wherever you are. Hey, I hit him, with the song, I did
Whoa.
song parodies and stuff. But, you know, again, yes, food is an emotional thing for a lot of folks. It's when you're happy, you eat. When you're sad, you eat. Weddings and funerals, you eat. And food isn't supposed to be something you do for emotional support. But again, it's more about what you're eating as opposed to how much or when you're eating. As far as I'm concerned, you're the doctor, but if you drown your sorrows in bacon and scrambled eggs, you'll be okay. But when you want to go make sweet love to a gallon of Haagen-Dazs, well, that's a whole different thing.
Whole
Okay?
different outcome.
So, if you want to, when I was a kid, if you did something good in school or you got good grades, oh, let's get some ice cream. Let's get some cake. What if, dad was like, oh man, you did good in school. We're going to grill some steaks. Well, I wouldn't have had the problem. So,
Not at all.
I don't have a problem with celebratory eating or having, but it's more about, what you're eating as opposed to the other part of it. But yes, food shouldn't be something you do when you're happy and when you're sad. It should be something you do when you're hungry.
Exactly. That's
Find other
right.
things to do when you're happy or sad. And again, I'm not militant. I'm far from it. I don't. I think little bits here and there are okay, but for some people, that's really tough. It's not tough for me. I don't. I'm a creature of habit and routine. So once I got a routine or a habit or a way I do things, I generally stick to that. And if I deviate, it's easy for me to go back because that's my routine, that's my habit, that's my normal.
Okay.
But everybody's not like that. Some people will go out the deep end if they, do that. And I respect that too. That goes back to knowing yourself, knowing how you operate, knowing what you can do and what you can't do, and staying away from the things that are going to be problematic for you.
Yeah, well, I appreciate the music. Me and my wife only day before yesterday saw Jodeci and SWV.
Oh, okay.
And like you, they had pipes, and it was impressive to hear them do their thing. And I also agree that the ideal of making love to food, if you make love to a steak, eggs, or bacon, there won't be any regrets. If you make love to Oberweis, you're going to regret it. It may be good in both cases while you're doing it, but there's this lack of regret when you eat that protein and fat. So I love that, man. But there's
that could, you might have triggered something there. Forever my bacon.
That'll be your next song.
I'm frying it up. Yeah, look, I had to think about it. I had to think about that.
That's got to be a song. Forever my bacon. Jodeci, that's some hot screaming, yelling brothers, but they was killing it back in the day, and they still got those voices.
That's not my style. Them all that hollering and stuff. Yeah, I'm more the smooth. I smooth things out, brother. I don't. Yeah, them boys. Yeah, they did some hollering now.
Yes, they did. Real quick, when it comes to the hardest thing you've done to, adopt this lifestyle change, anything that comes to mind has been the hardest for you?
Just letting go of all the foods I love to eat. I mean, I think that's the hardest part for everybody, man.
Right.
I like to get it in. I come from a line of women that can rattle them pans, brother. So, I mean, boy, it wasn't nothing but forks clinking and lip smacking with my pinky goddamn. I mean, that's what it was, man. So yeah, it's all the things but here's the thing, like I talked about, I have the 90-10 philosophy. I'm going to get it in from time to time. The difference is it's not my normal. Thanksgiving Day, it's on and popping. Now look, I talk a big game, but the truth of the matter is I can't eat what I used to eat because I can't eat as much as I used to. So I'm talking like I'm gonna smash something, man. I might be up there with an eyedropper's worth of mashed potatoes and a little 1 teaspoon for the macaroni and cheese, and I'll be over there like, whoa, I'm done.
That's right.
So I just, when you get into this life, your appetite, definitely goes down. But Yeah,
Mhm.
listen, I eat what I want.
Mhm.
Okay, I'm not. I don't have no cheat days. I don't have no falling off the wagon. I don't eat the keto treats and keto. Man, if I want ice cream, I go get some ice cream. If I want cookies, I go get cookies. Now, I don't want that stuff anymore because I understand what it's doing to me. But when my family comes down here and they bake cookies, I have some cookies.
Mhm.
And if y'all see me in Ohio in a White Castle drive-through line, don't you judge me. Don't you say nothing. Yeah, okay, because I'm gonna get my wife. But I will say this: even when I do the things that I shouldn't be, I guess keto that aren't ketogenic, I don't do them the way I used to.
Mhm.
So yeah, you might see me at the White Castles, and I might have me a big sack of White Castles, but I don't have the large vanilla shake anymore.
Mhm. Yeah.
So if you see me at McDonald's, I don't have the apple pies anymore. I don't.
Yeah.
So even when I do things that, like I said, are not keto, I don't do them the same way I used to.
Mhm.
I'm not saying it's better or worse. I'm saying it's different.
Well, you have a situational awareness, and you are thoughtful about your decisions. I always tell patients, eat now you can have your days when you deviate completely, like you're suggesting, but you can also always start with the protein. So if you eat enough protein, you're probably going to be full by the time you get to the sweet potato pie, and you won't have to eat as much, even though sometimes it's hard to stop eating that. So I love this, man. Let's kind of real quick, your YouTube channel. Just speak again about Homesick Buckeye. What are you trying to achieve with that channel?
Well, I want to, again, I'm a ketogenic living evangelist. So I want to bring attention to all things ketogenic, whatever end of the spectrum you want to be on: carnivore, ketovore, keto, low carb. Even if you're just interested, if you're not sure what you want to be, you're trying to figure it all out. And you don't have to. You can bounce between.
Hmm.
You can be carnivore today, keto tomorrow. You can be whatever you want to be. Live your life. The most important thing is, doing something you can sustain.
Hmm.
Because if you can't sustain it, what's the point? Okay, great. You go carnivore for a week, and then you're back, eating the way you used to eat. Who cares?
Hmm.
That's nothing. So, do what you can do. Look for something you can sustain, and then use that as a building block to continually improve. On my side, we talk about moving, grooving, and steadily improving.
Hmm.
And that's what it's about. I think most people, if you look at your average carnivore, somebody that's maybe less than, 5 carbs a day, whatever, I would say most of those people didn't start out that way.
Hmm.
They started out keto, then ketovore, and then they just kept going. I'm doing some of that. I gave up lettuce and tomatoes probably a month ago. I never in a million years would have thought that I would have done that. But
Hmm.
it's I didn't start that way. I was eating lettuce and tomato every day, and
Hmm.
that's trust me, on the keto scale, that's pretty. That's a misdemeanor. Okay, in the keto, but I just decided to cut it out. It was carbs that I didn't feel I needed. I'm cutting out some vegetables. I use vegetables to season my ground beef and stuff. I got a little bit left. I'm not buying anymore the next
Hmm.
time around. I'm going to cut that out. Why? It's because I don't think I need it, and I
Hmm.
might add it back. I might buy some more next time. I don't know, but I'm always tweaking and looking to improve. But our channel is we do song parodies. I do silly characters. I laugh and joke, try to make people smile, but also give them a little bit of information and point them to people who have a lot of information. All my videos are linked to Dr. Hampton, Chafee, Barry, and Bickman. That's my Mount Rushmore of ketogenic living. Those four guys, and those are the guys I listen to, that I watch, that I follow. There's other ones out there that are good. Not no disrespect to anybody, but those are the four that connect and resonate with me, and I want to point all eyes to them. And me, I'm just here to make you laugh, make you smile, and give you something a little different. If you don't want to watch everybody talking about bunions and canker sores, come on over to our channel and we'll laugh and smile. And then we do the cookout show. It's a same kind of thing. It's kind of it's four people. It's me, Carnivore Today, Adam Lacey, Alia Wells, Damon Holly over at Carnivore Damon, and we just it's an interactive show. You can come on the stream with us, tell us about your breakthroughs, your milestones.
Mm-hmm.
We do song parodies and tell jokes and all kind of stuff on there too. And we have guests, and
Mm.
more entertainment. It's not a heavy. We do take
Right.
questions and things like that.
That's right.
Not heavy on medical and science. It's
That's
more
right.
lighthearted, upbeat,
That's
with a
right.
little bit of information too.
That's right.
Hopefully, lead you in the right directions.
Well, I love it. Let's wrap up with my always question, which is how you plan to protect your nest. And I know you're doing nutrition. That's the N in the nest, but the E for exercise, less stress, more sleep, how we think, recovering from trauma. And the rope talks about relationships, building those up, making sure we avoid organisms and pollutants that can harm us, and making sure our emotions are protected and that we have great life experiences. So when you think about that nest and rope, where do you plan to focus additional attention this
Well,
year?
yeah, look, brothers, we don't have a lot of good history with ropes, brothers. So I don't know about them ropes. I can't. I don't know what's I don't want nothing to do with that rope, brother. But,
Oh my goodness.
hey,
All
look, now with the nest. Now the nest, I get
right. We're going to nest then.
no, I'm just kidding. I'm just messing. Listen, I just live my life, man. Nutrition, of course, you're eating the right things. That's what we're doing now. The exercise, I tell you, man, I overdid it a little bit at that summit. It was a lot of
Mm-hmm.
standing, a lot of walking, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
stuff. And I came back, I got a little problem with my left foot, ankle,
Mm-hmm.
Achilles. So I took a break this
Mm-hmm.
week. And I'll be back at it here. It's a lot better after a few days of just
Okay.
of resting it. At this size, it's not the easiest thing in the world to be. I
Mm-hmm.
ain't gonna be out there doing no jumping jacks,
Mm-mm.
no
Mm-mm.
CrossFit, or nothing like that. But I get out and do what I can do, and walk and that kind of stuff. Just take it slow, and and build up from where I'm at. And then the rest of it, the mental health and stuff. I've never really. That's not been my struggle, the trauma and all that stuff. I know a lot of people go through that. Depressions and things. I mean, I have a depression resistant mind. I talk about that a lot on my side. I'm just too silly for all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I may get down here and there. We all do, but I don't stay down for very long. I get bounced right back pretty quick that way. And then sleeping, yeah, I sleep good. Don't have any problems along that line.
That's
And
cool.
then the rest of it, I can't remember, frankly, Doc. I'm not that
Yeah.
smart. I have a very short attention span.
No, you're good. I think you shared plenty, and again, we're really looking forward to your channel. Now, other than your channel, are you on any other social media yet? I know that's something that was talked
Yeah, I
about.
got on at the summit. I met some folks, and I got in the clubhouse. They have that keto for the soul. I
Mm-hmm.
belong to that room on Clubhouse, and then I started an Instagram and a TikTok. I've not done anything on TikTok. I think I have one Instagram post. I'm really not great with social media.
Cool.
I'm still learning YouTube and all that.
That's cool.
But I do plan to try to incorporate more and do more stuff. So stay
Okay.
tuned. But 90% of what I do is going to be on the YouTube channel between my Homesick Buckeye channel and the Cookout Show, the
Yeah.
Keto
Yeah.
Cookout. That's where I spend most of my time. But I will be doing some Instagram, type of things as well.
Absolutely. And I appreciate you inviting me for a future episode of the Cookout.
Yeah, man.
Hopefully, we'll be doing that
Cookout.
soon.
We grilling, baby. We
We're gonna
grilling,
be
baby.
That's right, grilling. I love it. So, man, I appreciate you. This has been wonderful. We're gonna pause, take a break, and then we're gonna do a live. So, for all those checking out this episode, check out YouTube, both of our channels, and you'll get a chance to hear us talk more and maybe answer some questions for those who check us out. So, thanks again for being with me, my brother, on this episode of the podcast.
All right, brother. Appreciate it.
Yes, and for those who are enjoying this episode, we thank you for being here today. We are all trying to do exactly what Russ is trying to do, walk towards a healthier version of ourselves. So why not take that walk together? That's why I encourage all of you to check out Russ's YouTube channel, subscribe, hit the bell for Homesick Buckeye, a channel where we will, have a little fun on our keto journey, as well as being inspired by Russ and the guests he have on his channel. A channel, as Russ has just articulated, that will keep us moving, grooving, and steadily improving. So I really appreciate Russ and all of you guys for coming to this episode of the Protecting Your Nest podcast. And until the next episode, continue to be safe, be well, and continue to protect your nest. You've been listening to Protecting Your Nest with Dr. Tony Hampton. For more, visit drtonyhampton.com.